Thank you so much for joining us today. We will give everyone a few minutes to log on before getting started. We'll probably start at about 3 minutes past the top of the hour. If you're just now joining us, hold tight. We are going to get started in just a couple minutes. We're going to give everyone a chance to join us. Thank you guys for joining us today. We're going to give everyone a few more minutes. Thanks everyone for joining. We're going to give it just a little bit to get started. Let everyone join. All right. Well, thank you everyone for being here. There's a bunch of people on today. We're so excited to have you. We are here to discuss how Dial Care Mental Wellness will give you an edge in today's benefits marketplace. I'm Becca Bean, Vice President of Dial Care. Originally, this was going to be hosted by Matt Herrera, our VP of Sales. However, he had a conflict come up, so I'm happy to step in and guide us on this conversation. Any point throughout the presentation, if you have questions, please enter them into the chat. I will moderate a Q&A at the end of the presentation. Let me introduce you to today's panel. As I mentioned, I'm Becca. I've been with Dial Care and our affiliate company, Carrington, for over 12 years. I have previously held leadership roles in our accounting and finance, project management, and product development areas of the company. I've been full-time on our telemedicine side of the house for over a year. I help integrate operations of our organization and oversee all areas except clinical services and technical operations. I'm very happy to be here today. With me, I have Jeremy Hedrick and Jay Ostrowski. Jeremy is the president of Dial Care and has been with the Carrington companies for over 20 years. Jeremy leads our team overseeing the overall vision and strategic growth of Dial Care. Jeremy has a vast experience over different areas of the company, including customer service, sales, and provider network management. He is a wealth of knowledge about the industry, and I'm happy to have him present to you all today. Last but not least, we have Jay Ostrowski joining us. Jay is our mental wellness clinical director for our telebehavioral health program. Jay is a licensed professional counselor with vast amounts of experience. He is a licensed counselor supervisor in South Carolina and also licensed in Michigan. Additionally, Jay serves as a telehealth consultant and implementation partner for the Mid-Atlantic Telehealth Resource Center and is the director of Telebehavioral Health Center of Excellence. Jay helps us provide guidance by helping provide guidance on all clinical directions for our program. Thank you, gentlemen, for both joining me today in this conversation. Now, who are we? DialCare is an affiliate company of Carrington International Corporation. Carrington has over 40 years of experience in the non-insurance benefit space, offering a wide array of products and services. From Carrington's entrepreneurial spirit, DialCare was formed to provide a consumer and group-focused telemedicine offering. We connect individuals virtually to physicians, mental health professionals, and dentists through our state-of-the-art technology. Carrington was founded in 1979 by two dentists. In 1993, we expanded our service offerings outside of just the dental space to offer a wide variety of ancillary products. In 2007, we began offering telehealth programs to our clients at the start of this burgeoning industry, so well at the inception of telemedicine as an industry. In 2017, we launched our own telehealth solution, DialCare. Since our launch, we have expanded our service offering with DialCare Mental Wellness in 2019 and DialCare Teledentistry in 2020, and that was expedited due to the pandemic. Why DialCare in Carrington, you ask? With our vast experience, we spend a great deal of time focusing on the consumer experience for our program. We also focus on our programs to offer group flexibility and customization. Our goal is to provide an optimal experience for both end users and program administrators. Since the pandemic hit, we have seen about a 60% increase in patient visits, all while keeping wait times at record lows. Outside of our DialCare telemedicine offerings, Carrington has a vast array of products and services to be aware of. As I mentioned, part of my previous tenure at Carrington was overseeing the relationships with our vendor partners to provide our clients with lots of best-in-class products and services to be able to supply their clients with unique, robust offerings. Our programs provide consumers with cost savings or ease of access to healthcare and other ancillary services. I'm sure most of you are aware of Carrington's own and operates our own proprietary discount and PPO dental networks. In addition to that, we partner with best-in-class partners like VSP, iMed, MedImpact, and others to provide healthcare discounts on vision care, prescriptions, hearing aids, labs, vitamins, gyms, chiropractors, podiatry, and long-term care facilities. Our healthcare solutions also provide concierge-based access to second opinion services and bill negotiation. Outside of healthcare programs, we offer access to pet care discounts, pet telemedicine, ID theft monitoring and restoration services, discounts on shopping, dining, and travel, as well as legal advice and will and estate planning. These robust products and services are all supported by Carrington's in-house team that can manage enrollment, both discount and insured lines of business. We additionally have an in-house call center, claims administration. Today, we currently process dental, vision, and hearing claims. We provide full marketing assistance, membership fulfillment, print shop services, and comprehensive IT support and development. It's our goal to be your one-stop shop for your ancillary benefit needs. Some of the shelf plans that we offer include what I'm showing on the screen, but based on the opportunity, we can customize offerings based on your custom needs. We also have additional offerings that have a quick turnkey implementation to get your programs to market quickly. Our implementation process can run anywhere from a week if we're going with a shelf plan to typically around 90 days. With that, I'm now going to pass the conversation to Jeremy to dive further into our telemedicine programs.
Perfect. Thanks, Becca. Appreciate your kind of overview, and I echo Becca's appreciation for everybody that's logged on and joining us today. And definitely think this is a very worthwhile topic. We're big believers, obviously, in virtual healthcare, but also in how you can package things for your employer groups or affinity groups, associations, however, or whoever that broad-based audience is that you all deal with on a daily basis, and really are excited to present how DialCare can be part of that solution. Obviously, from a telemedicine in general, from a telemedicine standpoint, obviously there's been such an increase in usage. We'll show some stats here that you may have seen parts of these, but really telemedicine had been around for quite some time. But really, when COVID hit, right, is the greatest example of that. When COVID hit, it seems like you couldn't really go a day without hearing or reading about telemedicine, whether it be in press conferences or addresses by public officials urging people to use virtual telemedicine visits wherever possible. It's like all at once the telemedicine detonation button was pressed and we had this explosion of usage. But the reality is virtual medicine has been around for a long time, right? It's been in the consumer market for quite some time pre-COVID. And one of the challenges has always been, or one of the questions has always been, why isn't it used more? And you may have employers or employees that have asked that question. And Becca, you can click to the next slide here on slide 9. You know, there's always been these stats about the telemedicine market exceeding, you know, in this case to 64 billion by 2025, and large numbers of employers offering telehealth coverage. The reality is when COVID hit and we had this explosion of utilization, you know, you can see here the CDC had a stat back in March of 154% increase. DialCare doubled within a 48-hour period. And if you're familiar with other telemedicine solutions out there, whether they're in a practice or on a wide-scale consumer basis, everyone had that same experience. And to think about access to care during that initial shutdown and how much different it would have been without the virtual component, it's a little bit scary. The next piece that kind of starts to transition into mental wellness specifically, especially against just the backdrop of COVID, but I would put it on a much broader scale as well. Another CDC stat here, during that week of June, how U.S. adults kind of reported considerably elevated adverse mental health conditions. And if you think about, I think like all of us, it feels like we're living somewhat in Groundhog Day, where a day can be a week or vice versa. This was in June, right? Shutdown was for most people mid to late March. You start to extrapolate that. This is only about 3 months after that, that adverse mental health condition started to see a spike. We've since seen that increase as well. Over time through our mental wellness programs, our usage has continued an escalation pretty consistently over the last 6 months, and is still showing that. I think there's obviously much more hope in recent weeks with, you know, declining numbers and things like that. I think that the stress and anxiety may be on a better trajectory, but then you've also still have this lingering loneliness piece. And Jay can talk a little bit about that more from a clinical standpoint, but having the ability to connect virtually with a counselor in this case in a mental wellness scenario is proving to be so much more valuable now than it ever has been. And it really is encouraging to see that. We're obviously talking to folks like you all who are in that employer-employee association type space to make sure that people understand it. One thing that we're seeing for sure that's really exciting is really a shift in demographic, and maybe not a shift, it's probably more accurate to say a widening of that demographic kind of front end, back end, bookends. And what's amazing about that is we're seeing a shift, obviously, on the upper edge, where we see much more utilization in the older demographic than I would say pre-COVID. In DialCare's example, we had I think he was 92-year-old gentleman use our physician services a couple of months ago. And the great part about that is he did the whole thing self-service. He went through, registered his account, went through a web portal, and did a video consult with one of our physicians. We actually recently brought on a new group large group whose average age in their entire group is, I think, around 71. And that end of user, both in a mental wellness and a physician standpoint, are really increasing their utilization, which is a really great sign to see. There's a comfort with it, both from a technology, but also an effectiveness standpoint from a clinical outcome. So really exciting to see that. And as you're out there talking to your employers and groups, this is something that comes up a lot for us that I wanted to make sure I highlighted, that we're definitely seeing these bands of age especially adopt telemedicine at a much higher, much more rapid pace than before. So for those that don't know kind of why or potentially the benefits of offering a virtual health solution, our virtual health solutions are obviously have been in high demand within the marketplace, but especially since COVID hit, we've definitely seen that increase in questions and expectations, asking how to position it. Any of those areas, we're really seeing the ability to come alongside our partners as they're offering the programs. A lot of people are looking at why virtual health solutions and putting that against the backdrop of COVID, because that's just the latest, most visible catalyst. But really, virtual health solutions, they're a very affordable option for all employees, and that's all classes, right? This could be part-timers, retirees, seasonal workers. It's a great and easy program to plug into the entirety of an employer group. And from our perspective, we could actually piece that out differently depending on group. We could talk about specifics if you wanted to contact us, but we could have a little bit of a different suite of products or programs for retirees than we have for a different population within the same employer. They're obviously not just available year-round; they're available 24/7, and that's critically important for two ways. One is just access, but the other piece that gets a little bit brought to the forefront at times, or when there are challenges with, I would say, the status quo. COVID is a great example. We're based in Texas. We just had, I'm sure you couldn't watch the news or read an article without seeing the issues that we had here in Texas a week ago with our weather and our power grid. And we went into almost just complete shutdown. And it wasn't just the roads were bad. Texas gets the bad rap. We don't know how to drive on ice and snow. It wasn't just that. We were losing power. We had facilities, stores, all homes that would go without power for 36, 48, 72 hours. Then you're dealing, we were in the teens and single digits for 2 or 3 days in a row, and pipes busting. So when you look at events like that, telemedicine is obviously incredibly convenient, because there may not have been a choice to have the ability to go see your physician, or maybe even make it to an urgent care if you were dealing with some type of treatable piece. And so, like for us in Texas, we definitely saw the benefits of having virtual. And for those that live in Texas, you probably experienced the turnaround that we've had, how much difference a week can make. We were sunny and 75 yesterday, like we should be on a beach eating pineapple or something. It was amazing how quick our world turns here in Texas weather-wise. But having that ability to have a virtual consult when everything else is kind of in a chaotic state is a huge benefit to the user. It's obviously a huge benefit then to the employer and their employees. Sessions can be conducted anywhere. They can be conducted in your home. They can be conducted if you're traveling. There's a convenience factor there, but also a geography piece here. I'll put it again within the confines of Texas. Texas is a huge state just from landmass. We have a lot of rural areas that don't have access to very many, if any, mental wellness clinicians. And so to have the ability to see a wide range of clinicians is a huge benefit to the employer, to the employee. And obviously from a mental wellness standpoint, there's added benefit. It's obvious, right? It's kind of why EAPs are out there as well. It's looking after the mental wellness of your employees, turn around and make that, a more comfortable, more confident employee as well. And so from a virtual standpoint, we see that privacy factor, in this case, even talking about being able to do a consultation from home, adds a layer of comfort and security to them. We actually see, Jay may speak to this a little bit, but there are studies coming out, and in some of our programs, we even get feedback from our clinicians that it seems that people are a little bit more honest faster because they're in a virtual setting versus face-to-face. There's a lot of benefit in that. So just a quick look at the 3 DialCare programs. Just wanted to make sure you as an audience understood what all we offer. Our first program that we launched back in 2017 is a physician access program. It's a 24/7 program to speak with licensed physicians in your state, whatever state you happen to be calling in at the time. Prescriptions, obviously, if they're medically necessary and a non-controlled substance, we can prescribe, we can refill medications. So the physician access program was kind of the flagship program we launched first. It's obviously very highly utilized before COVID, before the ice storm and snowstorm we had here in Texas, and a lot of the country was crippled with that as well. This has been around for quite some time. So huge benefit there. Mental wellness, obviously what we're talking about today. I will mention we have a kind of our regular mental wellness program, but if any of you kind of participating with us today have any, I guess, connections into school districts, school systems, whether that be for the teachers, administration, or actually into the students, we have a student mental wellness program that we offer as well, where in essence the primary member becomes the student from ages roughly 11 to 18. So 6th grade and up, 5th grade and up is really our target market there, where we go by state consent laws across the country. It's available in all 50 states, just like all of our programs are. And there's a really huge surge in need for mental wellness services for our students. So if you do have anything in that world, please don't hesitate to reach out. We'd love to talk more about that particular program and get you more details. And then, as Becca mentioned, our most recent program that we launched was teledentistry, coming out of the Carrington system. For those of you that know us through a relationship with Carrington, dental's kind of in our DNA for all of us. We always knew that dental would be somewhere in the midst of our virtual programs. We just weren't quite sure exactly when or to what degree. We've launched that program and really escalated and accelerated the development of that based on COVID and some response that we knew we could bring to the market. A lot of folks ask on the teledentistry program, how does that work? And that seems much more hands-on, with the dentist. But really, there's 3 really main silos we see that in. Just questions on is what I'm experiencing urgent? Do I need to go to an ER? Do I need to go to an urgent care center, or can I wait to see my dentist tomorrow or Monday if it's over a weekend? You can get second opinion, huge use for that program, as well as just oral health questions. I had a root canal 2 days ago. It seems to me it's a little more swollen than it should be. My oral surgeon's closed, it's the middle of the night, and you can work through those questions. Both physician access and teledentistry 24/7. Our mental wellness program is not 24/7. It is 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. in every time zone across the U.S., 7 days a week. And we knew that part of the challenge with access to mental wellness revolved around access, right? It revolved around, I work all day. I can't readily go every week or every other week if that's what was needed. I need more convenient times. And if you live in large metropolitan areas, a lot of folks have extended hours, weekend hours, and you may be able to find it. But the more suburban or maybe rural areas don't have that. And so We didn't want it to be 24/7. It's not a crisis prevention hotline. We didn't want it to appear as though it is, thus the non-24/7 coverage. And you do have to schedule a 30-minute consult. Our sessions are 30 minutes with a licensed professional counselor or psychologist. You can pick your clinician. You can pick them over and over again. You can switch if you don't have a great connection with them and you want to try somebody different. But you do pick and schedule your time in advance and then have your 30-minute session with that counselor. And on the mental wellness program, it does work a little bit differently in the fact that it's scheduled and not 24/7 than the other two programs. So as we lead into kind of mental wellness as a whole, I'm going to hand this over to Jay, who's our clinical director. He has been not only in the clinical field for a long time and just a great asset to our team in that front. He's also been on the forefront of delivering these services virtually for quite some time. And as Becca read in some of his intro, has been in that field and leading that for a long time, and really love having Jay on our team. So Jay, with that, I'll hand it over to you.
Thanks, guys. And I'm glad to have you guys here on the call with us to learn a little bit more about this. We've created something pretty unique, actually. So as Jeremy said, I've been working in this field a very long time. Telemental health has been around for over 50 years, to be honest. And it started with the Department of Defense, the Veterans Administration. They've been cranking out lots of research on this for a very, very long time, but it hasn't become kind of ubiquitous until computers were more readily available, the internet. But I started this about 15 years ago. Before this thing called Skype came out, I was using an IP camera, seeing people across the country, and I kind of got this excitement that we can help people that we normally couldn't help in a few ways. First of all, we're able just logistically, if they're in the mountains or they're traveling, we're able to help them in that way, that where they couldn't connect, they can now connect with the same provider. They don't have to switch providers because they moved or they're traveling a lot. They could be across the world. My first client was actually in Indonesia, a little Indonesia girl that had pulled all her eyebrows out and had a big patch of her hair out, and she had a condition called trichotillomania. We were able to help her and her family in the mission field right where they were, and they didn't have to come home to get that help. The same thing is happening with people when you have companies where they have traveling salespeople or executives that have to travel a lot, or if it's a consulting company where you have to go on the road to visit clients in person quite frequently. How do these people engaged in a family meeting for their son or daughter? How do they do marital counseling? How do they do, how do they connect with the counselor to manage their own anxiety or depression or whatever is going on in their life? They could do this now through video, and they could do it from their phone. Or their laptop or their tablet. And they can do it from very early in the morning till very late at night. Imagine if you've set an appointment for somebody or yourself, you can't get a mental health appointment at 7 a.m. anywhere, or at 9 p.m. anywhere in most of the time. So this is a pretty unique offering to have high quality counselors in this one network that are all synchronized and have clinical oversight. Now, we all know that when a family member struggles with mental or emotional issues, everybody around them suffers a little bit too. Dial Care was designed to alleviate that kind of suffering. So it might be the employee or the staff member themselves, or it could be their family. But if they're worried about their own family, that affects them as well. Imagine like an executive with a daughter that's highly emotional because she's being bullied at school. That affects the mom or dad that wants their daughter to be better. And if it's at night, not having a resource or having to wait several days to take the kid out of school to get an appointment, these are things that they don't have to do anymore. They can just book an appointment from their phone online, see somebody that day or the next day. Is pretty frequent in our program because we have these counselors that are licensed and they're ready to go. Imagine a son that's depressed because they think COVID has kind of blown their chances at a career, or college is not the in-person experience. I know my son is at Duke, and he's like, I'm not getting the college experience I wanted to get. a lot of these people are kind of frozen in this place, and there's just so much uncertainty. There's also parents that are frustrated because as professional as they are, they can't get their son to do their homework at school, or sorry, at home. They're having to be homeschool teachers as well as do their career from home. There's lots of these conflicts that are coming up, and they're not going to go away quickly. This is kind of going to be around for at least this year, but also this kind of anxiety that's building, and the sadness that's happened, the isolation. It's not going to go away quickly, and we know that these people bring this to work. And it affects their productivity at work. And so I think these are talking points that you can have with benefit managers. You can ask them, how are you addressing the mental emotional needs of your staff? Do you have products for that? Are they working? Do you know if they're working or not? But also, personally, I'm a licensed counselor, and I know that even counselors need good counselors. So at the executive level, at the management level, these are services that definitely are going to be helpful to everybody. As I said, as Jeremy said, I created the board certification in telemental health, and I direct the Telebehavioral Health Center of Excellence. We designed this program with excellence in mind. And so I wanted to kind of put out a couple of talking points about that specifically. We created this network of licensed counselors that we personally vetted, and then we trained them specifically in telemental health. This is not like a normal EAP program where somebody has a directory, or they use the phone book to call a local counselor and kind of outsource it to a local counselor. These are clinicians that we've trained and vetted, and we have clinical oversight to make sure that they have a quality offering, because we believe quality is the number one thing we're selling here. So when you're talking to benefit managers about options, this is the quality choice. But we've created this kind of well-oiled machine behind the scenes where things are very fluid and well developed in a sense. So we abide by the best practices in telehealth, HIPAA security. Again, we have licensed clinicians in the state where the client is located. We have emergency prepared plans. In case anything would go awry, we're prepared and ready to help the client in need. We also have that clinical oversight of other professionals overseeing, doing peer review over charge to make sure that everything is going well. And then we have more clinical availability of oversight and camaraderie if that's needed. So we're here providing these services, again, 7 to 10 p.m. in all time zones. Research has shown that this is highly effective. So I have about 3,500 peer-reviewed articles now showing the effectiveness of telemental health. If it's new to you, it might be kind of strange. You might think, how does this really work? Imagine more like if you go to a movie theater and you walk into a movie theater and you start noticing all the big curtains and the technology, the big speakers, and I always wonder why there's curtains and no windows. Telemental health is kind of like sitting in that movie theater, and you notice a lot of the technology. It feels kind of awkward and weird, but when the movie starts, when the video starts and you start getting into someone's story, it very much feels like you're in person. So we use the same methods, we use the same rapport, we get the same rapport that we get in person. We're also able to get the same clinical outcomes. Research is very, very strong that we get the same clinical outcomes in person that we do online. It's just been new for a lot of people. But as you guys know from the pandemic, it's not as new as it used to be, right? So the world kind of discovered telemedicine last March or so. We've been doing this for several years in childcare mental wellness specifically. And I've been doing it again for over 15 years. So it's not really new to us. We hit the gate running with a great system up and ready for you guys too. So another thing that Jeremy alluded to is something called the disinhibition effect. Disinhibition. Basically, it means, and research is very strong on this, that when people start sharing online, they share more than they normally would in person with somebody. So the sessions kind of get deeper quickly. They kind of get going with their goals more quickly than they would in person because of that disinhibition effect. So as we think about accessibility and quality, we also are very much concerned about doing this the right way. So DialCare has invested quite a lot of money in time and resources to make sure that everything is HIPAA secure. We have our own dedicated platform that was made for telemedicine, and it's set up to do the services in a very fluid, easy manner. So clients are able to go in and see different session offerings and schedule their own appointments. It's pretty amazing. And the student program that we mentioned earlier has a very sophisticated but simple to use system to find out if a student needs parental consent or not. The parental consent is different for every state and every license. So we've mapped that out across the whole country and to make sure that we're compliant with the local laws so that the services that we're offering are above board and they pass the quality test basically across the board. So there are lots of other things we could talk about. I don't want to kind of go on and on about it. I would say that I think you'll be very happy with referring to this program. And again, it's nothing like a normal EAP system. This is well above and beyond. I've run several EAP systems on my own. I can tell you we've done quite a lot more than is what you would find in a normal EAP. And we also have our own network of providers that we have personally trained, vetted, and managed that quality. So this, to me, is kind of a no-brainer from a quality perspective to boost productivity at the workplace and take care of the emotional and mental needs of staff in a company. So with all that, I will turn it back over to Becca.
Thank you, Jay. That was great. So with DialCare Mental Wellness, obviously, we know these services have become so valuable, but how does that impact you as the consultant or the broker? One thing to note is that these programs are available for expedited implementation timelines, guided by a dedicated Carrington and DialCare implementation manager. So we're able to combine our programs together to get you guys a very swift implementation to get you to market as quickly as possible. We can also incorporate our programs into any existing benefit offerings. So we're not beholden to annual or open enrollment periods or traditional benefits or eligibility status. This can really be offered in a much more flexible manner to the consumer. We even have some groups that work with us, so that way these can be benefits that can be transferable upon termination of employment. So it adds a lot of stickiness to your brand and loyalty to you as a broker or as an employer. We really work with employers in any size of any sector. Our groups can run as small as 5 lives. So it does not take a huge population for us to be able to get you up and running. We work with full-time, part-time, seasonal workers, contract, and retiree benefits. And as I mentioned, these can be implemented at any time throughout the year. Our programs do have commission available for brokers as well, so we can work with everyone one-on-one to see what's the best financial arrangement for the programs. As Jay mentioned, this is a strong addition even if a group has an EAP program. They're not an apples-to-apples, side-by-side comparison. The behavioral health component with a program like ours adds a much more continuous mode of care for someone's behavioral health. We are able to create custom bundles with you guys with DialCare, so we can have DialCare, telemedicine, behavioral health, teledentistry, as well as Carrington programs like dental and vision and hearing, second opinion advocacy. We're a one-stop shop with full service administrative services, and your entire offering can be offered to every client. So we really want to work with you to make sure that it's the best experience. We can do private label programs as well. And our programs are available to our consumers no matter where they are. They can be anywhere in the US, and we'll connect them with a licensed provider in their state. It's really seamless to the consumer. We manage a lot of that technical integration to make sure they're seeing a provider that they're able to connect with. So kind of how do you get started with our offering? You can feel free to reach out to myself or Jeremy or Matt or anyone on our sales team to discuss kind of next steps. We're able to put together a custom bundle for you, a custom product. We can incorporate add-ons, and we definitely want to complement what already exists for you and your audience today. with that, thank you so much for joining us. I am going to open it up to some of the questions we received. And if you think of any other questions, please feel free to put them in the chat box. First up, Jeremy, I'm going to point this one to you. Is DialCare Mental Wellness available to members under the age of 18?
Yes. So kind of as I mentioned in the student program, I know we didn't spend a ton of time there, but our kind of traditional program that you probably more than likely will be introducing in an employer setting or generically speaking, a group setting will be where the primary is over the age of 18. It does cover if the plan is a member family plan, it will have the ability to cover dependents. Primarily in those spaces, if you have somebody under the age of 18, it's usually done in a group setting in the sense of, as the parent, you may be on that session with the counselor, but you're giving consent for that to happen. And then in the student program, that's specifically designed for ages 11 to 18. And that works a little differently where the student is actually the primary as long as the consent law has been achieved. As long as consent as required by law in that particular state has been achieved, then the student really is setting their appointments and managing their schedule and who they're counseling with and those types of things. Obviously, in most cases, the family is also involved in that, but we do definitely offer below 18, and that's not common of a lot of other programs. That was an area we felt a lot of us have kids and have tried to travel through this and knew it was an important tool to have, so we designed our programs to try to incorporate them as well.
Great, thanks so much, Jeremy. I'm going to tackle this next question we received. Is this product available anywhere in the US and when is it available? So this program is available in all 50 states plus DC. It's 7 days a week. It's available 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. at the local time of the member. So if you're in the East Coast, the hours were available 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But if you're all the way out, luckily, enjoying pineapples in Hawaii, you definitely are over 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. local time. All right, next question. Jeremy or Jay, Jeremy, I'll pass this to you. Can members consult with a mental health professional from a previous session?
Yes, continuity of care was a huge component of this program. It's why we don't offer it in just kind of a virtual concept. Well, in a queued system like we do our physician and teledentistry programs. It's important. I think Jay would obviously concur from a clinical perspective. Connection with your counselor is important, right? If you feel like they're trustworthy and understand where you're coming from, and easy to communicate with, we want people to have the ability to choose that same counselor the next time they need a session based on everybody's availability. And conversely, we wanted them to have the ability to change if that connection didn't exist. And that's the glory of it being virtual, where in your town you may have 1 or 2 or 3 counselors, and in our network you may have 100 within the state that you live in that you can choose from. So definitely can keep continuity of care. You can continue to see the same counselor over and over again, and like I said, you could change if for whatever reason you needed to.
Great. Thank you for that, Jeremy. I'll tackle this next question. Is this available to employers of any size, and how quickly could a client implement a DialCare offering? So like I mentioned, this is really available to employers of any size. Our smallest group size typically is around 5 lives, so it does not take a lot of people for us to get something up and running. We have the ability to get a group up and running as short as a week. We have a program called Carrington Direct, where there are pre-established plan configurations that someone can get up and running really, really fast. But then if you're looking at something much more custom, we have the ability to do API integrations, SSO, private label programs. Those implementations take a bit longer, somewhere around the 60, 90, 120 days, depending on the full scope of the program. But we've done, really, we can go as far down the white label rabbit hole as someone wants to go. And based on that, we mutually agree on a time and effort, and with a dedicated project manager assigned to all of these setups. And next question I have in, Jay, I'm going to pass this one to you. What kind of treatment plans are DialCare's mental health professionals able to provide?
Well, we do pretty much a full spectrum of your normal mental health issues that you'd see like in an outpatient clinic. I mean, it's not designed if someone's about to detonate a bomb or something. It's not designed for that kind of level of suicidal kind of care, but it is designed for most of the main things that you would see: anxiety, depression, stress, the parenting issues, the relationship issues that are kind of the bread and butter of outpatient practice. And if there is an emergency, we would of course refer them to emergency services local to the client, because that's part of one of our protocols. But with our licensed counselors in every state, they come well equipped to handle most of the major issues that will face the employees.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Jay. Well, that handles all the questions that we've received. Thank you guys so much for your active participation. We really appreciate you guys joining us today. On the screen right now is my contact information and Jeremy's contact information. Please do not hesitate to reach out to us at any time. We're happy to answer any questions that you may have about the program or have deeper discussions. We definitely appreciate your time. We know it's valuable, and everyone hang in there being at home and avoid Zoom fatigue. Have a great day.